Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of eCommerce Growth Show. I'm here with Guido Jansen, all the way from the Netherlands. Hi, Guido.
All the way, yes. I traveled far for this event.
Yeah, from another room, right?
Exactly.
So, Guido, thanks a lot for being today with us. A bit of context, I've met Guido, I think it was way back in 2014 or something like that, at an e-commerce event.
Meet Magento Romania,
something like
I
that.
think.
Yeah, exactly, Meet Magento Romania. Until then, I had the privilege to meet Guido at a lot of other events, and I've seen him live. And what I have to say to you is that you have to watch this guy, because he's mixing the psychology insights with data and with his know-how about e-commerce and buying behavior. I think this is going to be an interesting episode of e-commerce growth show. And the topic for today is how to, let's say, address the holiday season in the new normal.
Yeah. And your colleague approached me for the topic, of course, and said, well, if we still need to give people advice on how to handle the holiday season this year, it might be too late. You should have been worrying about that a long time before we started that. Yeah, but I think we can still give some tips, I guess, some last minute things.
Yeah. So, Guido, the first thing that I want to address is tell us how you've first got into the e-commerce space. Tell us a story.
Well, I was in high school. And when you study psychology, you have a lot of free time. At least here in the Netherlands, when you study psychology, I think from the top of my head, I think we had at the university we had 16 contact hours, so hours that you had to be at the university, which leaves a lot of other hours in your day, or at least in your week. So I started doing more with online and. I started building websites. Back then it was using CMSs like Joomla, or I think it was even called Mambo back then. I don't think WordPress existed, or at least not as popular as it is today. So I started building websites for people, and at the beginning that had nothing to do with my study in psychology. Also at the university, studying psychology had nothing to do with online or gathering data at the order that we do right now. But when I started, when I finished the university and started working official working life, I started combining these two more and more. More and more, I was still involved. I always worked in e-commerce, so I started out just a job project managing e-commerce stores. But after a while, I started getting more and more involved with the marketing side, actually optimizing those stores. And for me, I mean, I can do some HTML, CSS. I'm very comfortable with Google Analytics and GTM, that kind of stuff. I'm comfortable with those things. I'm relatively technical for a psychologist, I guess, but I'm definitely no developer. So the part after things go live, those are way more interesting for me than the developing part. So that's where I can apply the psychology, right? We're all, despite this being a screen, you're still trying to sell to another human being. You might not actually see them, but they're still there. And very similar principles apply when you try to sell to people, whether it's online or offline. Of course, there are differences. There are subtle changes to our behavior, but there are a lot of basics that are very similar, and also the way how you can nudge the behavior. And I think it's very interesting from a perspective, if you done a lot of research offline, like with psychology, you read a lot of research papers on all the things, like social proof, or all the things that Cialdini wrote about, all those offline researchers, and even the more fundamental research. I studied more the neuroscience part, so the very basic things. You have research papers with about 10 people in the whole research, 10 participants, 10 subjects. And if you go to more social studies, it's maybe a couple of hundred or a couple of thousand. But it's not at the scale that we have in e-commerce. That's the amazing thing about doing this stuff online. So combining that's really powerful. And then, for example, you can see things like with social proof, and yeah, it's a very powerful thing. But then if you have the numbers that we do online, then you can see subtle differences. That, hey, it might not work in every case, and that's what makes me tick. That's what I find interesting. When things break down, that's interesting, right?
Yeah. So Guido, from your let's say position as a psychologist, how do you see this current moment after the initial wave of pandemics, and how do you see this affecting our us in this e-commerce bubble?
Yeah.
Let's say.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely a lot of uncertainty, I guess, or at least increased uncertainty with a lot of people buying stuff. A lot of pressure people feel to buy other things, like we saw at the beginning, toilet paper ran out, those kind of things. Of course, face masks are very popular. Those are things people flock to. I cannot miss out on things. Then you can see the principle of scarcity is a very powerful thing. I mean, at least in the Netherlands, we didn't have a shortage of toilet paper in all the big warehouses, but the stores were empty because people kept buying it in case there would be a shortage. There was never a shortage, but it just shows you how powerful such a principle of scarcity can be. Just the stories about it can be very powerful. And besides uncertainty, I think there's the real impact already. I mean, this has been going on for over half a year now. That a large portion of the population might just have less money to spend. A lot of people may have lost their jobs, or if you're a business owner, you may have a lot less money going around, a lot less revenue. So those are real issues that can impact your buying behavior, of course. You only go for certain things, you cannot buy things at all, or you go for the cheaper things, or you're way more susceptible to the deals that maybe you normally don't care about deals. You just go for quality or whatever is in front of your nose. But right now you might be more price sensitive. So those things can change buying behavior. And the final thing, I think that's a lot of people might be mentally tired of all of this, which may cause people to do more impulse buying. I've been sitting at home for half a year now. I deserve this, right? I deserve to splurge on something because I don't know the new PlayStation 5. I deserve this. I'm at home all the time. I need to do something. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that's actually good, right? Because otherwise, there will that's a way to improve their self-esteem at some moments, and there is a therapy in retail, right?
Yeah, there's definitely therapy in retail. Yeah, and it's a coping mechanism, right? So we need to cope with the situation. So we need to focus on things that do make us happy. And yeah, shopping is definitely, for many people, definitely a good outlet for that.
Yeah. Guido, regarding the buying behavior of certain shoppers, let's say, do you think the current let's say conditions, or whatever, call it whatever you want, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm talking about, do you think this environment made customers be more let's say sticky for certain retailers, or you think the product is still what matters the most? So it's a matter of from where I'm going to buy this new pair of shoes, or it's a matter of the brand of the shoes that I'm willing to buy?
I think there are definitely a lot of differences there between people, of course. I think in general, if uncertainty is a big thing in the industry that you are at, I do see a trend of people moving towards more certain things, right? For example, if you have a lot of shortages, let's take the face mask as an example. There are a lot of shortages of those. but you see something available at 2 stores. Do you go for the one you've bought 10 times before and know that they're going to deliver, or at least have decent procedures in place if the delivery doesn't happen? Or do you go to the place that you don't go for? It might be a bit cheaper, but hey, there's a shortage. I need to have this stuff. I want to make sure, of course, in situations like this, more people tends to pick the more certain option, even if it's might cost a bit more. If that's your priority, to get the stuff no matter the cost. And we've seen at Amazon quite some price hikes for people selling face masks for insane amount of money, and that works, I think, on Amazon, because Amazon is a trusted brand. They're piggybacking off the trusted brand of Amazon, and say, okay, well, they give me the delivery guarantees, or the delivery speed that I need. So let's go for that, and then people use that.
Mm-hmm. In terms of the buying habits, I think we have this, let's say, privilege to look at a lot of data from a lot of retailers, online retailers selling, I don't know, from creams to stimulate the hair growth to whatever you can imagine. And we've seen there that there are some moments after a certain customer is, let's say, hooked on buying from this particular retailer. Usually after 5, 6, 7 purchases from the same retailer, is not a question of buying from that retailer. It's just a question of doing this. When exactly. And I want to focus a bit on this habit forming, because the holidays, Black Friday, whatever, Cyber Monday, it's all about reactivating the huge amount of cookies and doing remarketing for the emails of former customers or subscribers. And I want to give us a few insights, if you can, regarding how to install these buying habits, how to make your customers come back. Is there something that you need to do, or it's just pure hazard? People are coming, are going. There's nothing that you can do about it.
Well, it all comes down to providing the value for your users, right? If you don't provide the value, then you can do all the persuasive tricks in the world. But if your product doesn't provide value, especially like you said, it takes a couple of times before people form the habit of buying from you. If that's, you can pull out all registers and all the social proof in the world to make them buy once. But if it's a big disappointment, either the whole process itself after clicking the buy button, or the product itself, if it doesn't provide value, then it doesn't work. That's always when I do a presentation on persuasive e-commerce, I always somewhere have this image that people need to have that. You need to provide that value. It doesn't work. For example, I had a couple of people from insurance company. They were sitting in my presentation and workshop for persuasive e-commerce, and they wanted to make their website more persuasive. So, but before the workshop started, I visited their website, and the whole website didn't work because I typed in their name without the www. And somehow it was just a technical issue, and then the website didn't work. I'm like, okay, but you're already losing people on a simple technical issue. You can be very persuasive, but if they don't reach that, you cannot persuade them to do anything. And same is true for retention. If there's no value in there, it's really hard to do that. And I see in the Netherlands, at least, and we see a lot of people flocking to marketplaces Amazon just entered the Netherlands,
yeah.
properly this year. I mean, they were available, of course, and they were delivering, but they did a proper introduction this year. We have our own local marketplaces, bol.com, that's very famous. We have Coolblue, that's it's not a marketplace, but it's a very big one. Basically, all electronic stuff can be bought there. Definitely not the cheapest, but because they focus so well on the service, providing the right information, providing videos on how to install stuff, doing honest comparison between products, people trust that brand, and that's way more valuable in the end, for at least for them, to do that, instead of having just people buy from them once. You're not making money off you if you just buy there once.
Yeah, and in terms of the besides the providing the value, is which are your let's say suggestions for retailers willing to verify if the value was there from the perception? Because it's one thing is the effort of the retailer, it's another thing the perception about the effort of the retailer. How can they make sure that the value was received and appreciated by the consumers, or which are your tips to make sure?
The first thing, the biggest thing is your retention rate that you have right now, right? if no one's returning, then that's a very big hint that there's something wrong. Or, well, as a side note, it does depend on the product, right? I mean, if you have something that people just buy once and you only have this one product, you cannot really expect them to buy stuff like that every month. But if you have like a marketplace, or you're a fashion store, if it's reasonable to expect people to return, so you have to start there. I just got this one today. I've been practicing. I've never sold one before September. I'm getting pretty good at it right now. But I bought it online, but at their store. But I'm not going to buy one next month, right?
Yeah.
Unless I break it.
Or you want to make it as a gift.
Or maybe as a gift. Sure, fair enough. But it's not a very high repeat business, I think.
Yeah, of course.
So that as a side note. But you can do research, right? So a lot of things I do revolve around doing qualitative and quantitative research. So usually that involves either Google Analytics combined with some offline form of research, or something in between, like doing surveys, Hotjar, that kind of stuff. That's definitely an option, and you guys have tools for this too, of course. Those are important ways that those tools can give you hints at what is happening, how happy people are. Do people sign up for your newsletter after they buy from you? Do they respond to emails? Do they ask service questions? Those can all, and there are no absolute this is good or this is bad. It's just like bounce rate. It's an indication and doesn't go up or down. A bounce rate itself doesn't really mean anything usually. I see people popping up in the chat. So there are ways of doing that, but I think the way you guys do it with your model, seeing how people are return buyers and in what groups they are falling, that's a very powerful. But of course, you need to have the data already. But that's a very powerful way to see what the current status is of basically the return. How would you say this? The viability of your product, and how people,
the stickiness
are the stickiness and how happy people are with your service in general.
Guido, what is your favorite question that you're asking? You suggest retailers to ask their customers if you would have just one question.
I'm not very good at asking just one question. I usually have a very, very big list. Now, I think it also really depends on what you're selling, I guess. I think what usually is what I think is helpful is if you say, okay, if I would double the price, would you still buy it? Or triple or whatever. So, and that gives you a sense. Is it really valuable for those clients? If it's worth that 50 euros or 100 euros or 2,000 euros, whatever you're spending, if they really think this is a great product, usually doubling the product for, of course, it depends on the budget and again the kind of product that you buy. It really gives a great indication of how they value your product. And also gives a great indication of your competitors. I mean, I would buy it for 100 euros, but if you charge 200, I know this competitor, they charge 150 and I would go there.
Yeah.
I think that gives a pretty good indication of where you're at with your product.
I also can add here, Guido, that it's also a matter of identifying the type of value that you are giving as a retailer, because if you are selling the same stuff that everyone is selling, there are low to zero chances for someone to buy it doubling the price. But if you are a direct to consumer brand where you are the only one selling this, I don't know, like Allbirds, right? You can't buy Allbirds shoes from anywhere else than from them. There is, I think, a question, because their business model has the production of the product, let's say, the creation, designing, production, warranty, post-purchase, whatever, and also the distribution of the product. So I think these direct-to-consumer companies can be leveraging this method of yours quite better than the retailers. What about the marketplace? I don't know. What would you suggest to Ball or to Coolblue, let's say, because they are under the pressure of having Amazon. So they are your, I don't know. I bet that you should be a bit patriotic, right? So let's see what would you suggest them.
Well, despite being in a country where a lot of people speak English very well, and even speaking online is maybe not that relevant, but can at least read very well if something is in English. There's still a large portion, I think, of the population that maybe are not working online all the time, and really appreciates information in their own language. And I think that's where Amazon is still, I mean, a large part of the website is still in English. All the product descriptions, a lot of the information, and all of the suppliers, all of those APIs they use, they just pull in English information. I think a lot of people still highly value localized information. Okay, I'm buying this TV, but does it work with my local TV service provider that I have? Does this smart card, I just ordered this smart card for my TV, this CI Plus module, whatever. Does it work? I don't have that information on Amazon. Coolblue, Bol.com, they do provide this information. They can tell me, yes, this is going to fit, or no, it's not going to fit. That kind of information is highly relevant for local buyers, especially now with COVID. See a lot of people that are not that used to buying online. They are now coming online. People that before, my parents, they were not. My mother wasn't used to buying stuff online, doing shopping online. I still would say she's not used to it, but more and more so. And for example, doing something, getting groceries online. That's not something that she ever did before. And that's something that more and more people of 50 plus, 60 plus are now coming online, doing it online, and then being able to do that in your own language. Recognizing all the stuff in your own language is very important. And it's not only language, like I said, make it relevant for those people, and as long as they can do that, I think they can still stay ahead of Amazon for quite some time.
Also, I would ask you something, Guido, regarding now that the topic is regarding how to let's say address these holidays properly.
Yeah.
My question would be, how would you, let's say, address the group of customers that were forced to buy online with no other incentive than that they haven't got any alternative?
Yeah.
But they've stopped buying from you. So what would you do, or what do you suggest to the retailers to do? Would you treat them differently, or would you play the same record, buy now, Black Friday minus 30%?
Yeah. Well, Black Friday is now, it's November 27th, right? If I'm not mistaken. So you still have a couple of weeks left. So you could still do a user research study, I guess, if you're quick. You can set it up in a week or two. Get those people and get that demographic. If you see those people coming online to your store right now, if that's what Google Analytics shows you, and you don't know nothing about those people, get them in a room and start getting information from them. Start putting them through cases on the website, or just give them Google and let them buy your product type. If you're selling shoes, okay, here's Google. Go buy some shoes, or go buy some groceries, or whatever. That can give you information about their shopping behavior, their considerations. And usually for those people, you need to basically step back to an era where it was completely new to buy online in the 2000s, right? When you had a web store, then you need to be very, okay, we need to show an address, we need to be very, all those uncertainties that a lot of people might not have had on your website like a year ago, because they're used to going online. You now have this completely new audience again that isn't used to online. They have no idea. So you need to reconfirm all those kind of things that you don't have to reaffirm to regular shoppers. You don't have to tell, oh yeah, you can pay with credit cards, or you can pay with PayPal. Yeah, everyone that buys online already assumes that those things will be available. But someone that's new, maybe not. And here in the Netherlands, we have a very popular payment method called Ideal. Show that on the first page. If you have a web shop, show on the first page, okay, yes, you can pay with Ideal. It's the most important part. Most people use this. Don't wait showing that you can pay with Ideal until the shopping cart. They might be gone. They might have lost trust that they can even pay at your store.
Yeah, and that has a lot to do with treat the objections before they occur.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you need to do the user research, because you need to figure out what are those things. I mean, you can, you would like to, but you cannot put everything on your first page. Don't use sliders to create more real estate. But be very aware that you have you might have a new target audience that might require different confirmations, different messages for you. Yes, you do exist in the offline world. Yes, you're a real company. Yes, we can pay here. Yes, we have stock. That was a really important one at the beginning of Corona. That's a lot of shops where you can, if you don't tell them you're open, a lot of people might assume that you're even closed. And especially not necessarily e-commerce, but in a restaurant business. Actually yesterday I was looking for swimming lessons for my little boy. I wanted to take him to swimming lessons, but the page from the swimming pool, it doesn't say anything about Corona. So to me it feels like they haven't updated their website in half a year. And now I cannot trust which makes me again think I cannot trust the information. So I don't know. I'll have to call them or something. And that's something definitely in e-commerce that's something you want to prevent, right? Those doubts, take them away right from the get-go.
Excellent. Guido, what's your suggestion to let's say treat your customers differently, even though, let's presume, you are an online retailer, you sell the same stuff that everyone is doing, you have the same price margin as everyone has, and Black Friday is approaching. What would you do under these circumstances? And let's presume it's not like you have a very rich grandmother that gives you a fund to go on TV or blast the YouTube with your ad campaigns.
I think, again, I think it comes down to that unique value proposition that you have, that you can create. And if it's not there, well, hopefully you have it, or at least you can confirm to users that it's there. Especially with Black Friday, probably retailers will spread it out a bit more. It's not just Black Friday, Cyber Monday. To me, it seems it's almost like Cyber Week or Black Week, or I don't know what is Cyber Black Week. I don't know what's the proper name, but it seems to extend more and more. It's not just limited to those days anymore. More and more companies are extending that, but be very clear in your communication to your clients on what they can expect from you, when they can expect it. I don't think people. I think people are less and less happy with uncomfortable or negative surprises this year. People are more and more comfortable about complaining those things on Twitter and stuff. You want to prevent that, so be very clear. Be honest about what you do. Be honest if you have issues with delivery, or if there are issues if you're online and offline. Maybe you can combine those things. People shopping online, maybe you have local stores that people can pick up their products. Maybe that's easier for your supply chain to do than delivering it from a central warehouse or something. If that's something that can maybe a little extra effort from maybe just a part of your customers, but it can make a big impact on your whole delivery chain. And communicate that to your users. Hey, we have issues. It might come a bit later, but if you want it sooner, just pick it up in a store near you.
Yeah,
things like that. Those things that make you unique, even if you have the similar products with similar margins, those are things that you can do.
Yeah, that's for sure. I have something to add here, Guido. I think there are so many opportunities to find your voice, even though what you're selling is the same thing. And what I find.
Sorry, you just gave the example of Allbirds, right? I think that's a great example. I mean, they position it as something really unique, but of course there are tons of shoes out there. Even at Allbirds level, there are a lot of more sustainable shoe brands out there. But like you said, they've created this aura around their brand that they're unique, and the only place you can buy them is basically at Allbirds. At least here in the Netherlands, you can just only order them online. I don't think there are many offline places selling them. So. But sorry to interrupt, but that's a great example.
Yeah, and what I think it's important to know is that and to let our audience know is about the fact that few e-commerce players are aware about the fact that they should be different, and they end up selling the same stuff, saying the same stuff. Black Friday discount. It's not like it's only from us. Everyone is discounting this, and a good question to ask, because I still remember this thing from Clay Christensen, that questions carve places in the minds for solution to appear. And I think a question for the online retailers is, what's unique about you? What's in it for me if I'm going to buy this, I don't know, phone from you instead of the other 200 e-commerce stores? And to find your voice, I think it's important, because otherwise you'll end up being nameless in a sea of providers, and you can't charge more, you can't have positive cash flow. Everything has to do with the fact that you don't have an identity. You're a human being without a face, so nobody could understand who you are and what's in it for me to buy from you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I kind of think that it's so easy to stop buying ads, to stop monitoring the stocks, to stop adding more suppliers, because I think it's the same trap that is for the software companies. So we in the software businesses, we think that the problem of churn, the problem of acquisition, the problem of retention is going to be solved by adding more features. Which is not. So if you want to stop churn, of course. But if you want to stop churn, you have to ask your customers and to do research to understand why people stop using your product, because they still use something, but they don't use you. And that means they make progress in other manners than with your software. And it's the same thing for an e-commerce. Instead of adding more products and adding more products and adding more products with the hope that you're going to be, let's say, different in the future because you have most of the products, that game is over. It's Amazon, it's for sure. They have, I don't know, 5 million SKUs or 500 million.
And there will be even more competition this year, because especially in the last half year, a lot of companies have been either forced to go online if they weren't online before, or selling online, or the ones that were online or partially online have become even more focused on online because that's the only channel they may have left. So there's way more competition. So you have to focus more on those things, right? And you have 3 ways to grow your business. You can either get more customers, which is what everyone's focusing on. You can get a higher average order value, just sell more money, sell more to those, or get them to sell more often. And those other 2 are hopefully get more attention now. Focus on your current, focus on the retention, focus on your current customers, what you already have. Nurture that CRM system that you hopefully have in place, and tie that in and focus on that loyalty. We just said it's almost Black Friday or Cyber Monday is turning into a week or maybe even a month of discounts now. Focus on create campaigns on that are focused on getting people to return to your website. Do something fun that make them return, make them want to return, whether it's for buying small things or create a fun experience online, create that connection with them. And maybe the sale, well, first off, don't necessarily focus on selling once. Like you said, you only get the connection after 7 purchases. So that should be actually the main focus. But even before buying, don't necessarily focus your first visit on buying something. Get them hooked on your brand and get them hooked on the information that you could provide, or the brand that you are, the image that you project. Get them hooked on that. And maybe it's way more important for your brand in the first visit to get them actually subscribed to your YouTube channel or your newsletter than to buy something. In the end, that might be way more valuable if people get hooked on your YouTube videos, get into your brand, become somewhat of an ambassador of your brand, or at least a fan of your brand. Maybe in a couple of months, that may be way more valuable than just selling them something one-off and they never return.
Guido, regarding the mentalities of the e-commerce owners, as you've been able to see that because you've been activating in the Magento space with Dacento community and so on, do you think the e-commerce entrepreneurs or leaders in this space have changed their mentalities thanks to or because of the pandemic? And if yes, in what way?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know yet if everyone if it changed mentality. I think it's very half a year is not that much. Well, it feels like it's been like 5 years, right? But
Yeah.
um, I think it's very easy. It's hard to change behaviors over a long period. It's hard for people not to fall back into bad habits. I think when if this is over quickly, if it's say in 3 months everything is back to normal, I think it's really going to be really hard for people not to, or managers or those systems not to fall back in previous mistakes. If it continues, it might force those companies to change their procedures more long term, hopefully for the better for those companies. I mean, you see a lot of companies that and you see the same thing. I mean, we've spoken about this before. That's the incentives are wrong at a lot of companies, and I work with a lot of smart people at e-commerce companies, at e-commerce teams, and they all know, okay, yeah, what we do now might not be beneficial in maybe even a year, but it's gonna help lift our numbers within this quarter. and that's what our bonus system is focused on, or that's what our maybe not even financial bonuses, but that's just how our reporting works.
Yeah.
The day to day or week to week or month to month reporting that you see is based on short-term gains. And if that's what you talk about if that's what you see, if that's what you talk about with your manager, if that's what comes up in your talks when they negotiate your contract or your salary, that's what you're going to focus on. And like I said, we work with really smart people that all know that might not be the best way to go about it. But if that's how you are continuously nudged to behave in that way, people start behaving in that way. And if those core principles are not changed, it's going to be really hard to do something different. So I hope we can all say a lot of companies will embrace this to change those things.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them won't be able to. Maybe those die out. We'll have to see. I don't know.
Companies are dying also. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and of course the human suffering, it doesn't that's not something that you want, but for the bigger economy and the bigger trend that we see, hopefully it brings something good, and hopefully that's a good trend. And for the of course, people losing their jobs, that's never a good situation. So hopefully a lot of companies internally can make the change before that happens.
Yeah, Guido, I have to add something here. Maybe the status quo of these companies could be changed, and I think it's an opportunity for the disruptors, for the entrepreneurs, for the smart people within the companies which are moving maybe too slow in the good direction to become, I don't know, customer centric or data driven. I think this is a good moment and a good opportunity, either for you as an entrepreneur or for as a smart disruptor to change things within your own company, or for yourself to move further, because it's there are so many opportunities out there at least in this space. We've seen that the talented people are what is happening is like the talented people have way more opportunities than they had due to this COVID period, while the long tail people, which are just making sure that they will keep their seat tomorrow, and they just wait for the 9 to 5 to end, they have their job jeopardized. And I think it's a very good opportunity for these kind of disruptors to move further, to make something valuable, because if something if these conditions have taught us anything, I think one of the best outcomes were that nothing is stable and change is right here, and it's you can't control a lot of stuff. So at least control what's within your reach.
Yeah. Well, I think if anything has taught us the last couple of months, I hope that's indeed it. That a lot of things change, and you might not have control of over these things, and you need to be adaptable and need to be able to change pace fast when these kind of things happen. It's been a nice proof. So I'm doing a lot of A/B testing with companies, of course, and they always you always want to know the impact of the A/B program overall, of course, which is actually paradoxically very hard to measure, because there are a lot of outside factors that you're not aware of.
Yeah, and like demonstrate this year the impact for year-over-year growth on the A/B testing program, right?
Yeah, exactly. So with COVID as a great example of this, if you doubled sales in April this year, is that because of your A/B testing program? Probably not. If your total company went bankrupt in April, was that because of the A/B testing? Probably not.
Yeah.
So that's a great example of even if you do the optimization, there's a lot of outside factors that can still impact that, and it's hard to show sometimes what the impact is. But if you do it consistently, doing that research, trying to find out, like we just spoke about, the different audiences that you might have, I strongly believe that's the best way you can prepare yourself for those changes. That if something happens, you already know, okay, this is how people usually behave. This is the basically the strings we can pull that can change behavior of people on the website, and nudge them to a certain behavior.
Yeah. One important aspect that I would love to see your opinion on, Guido, is regarding on the customer experience of that is consciously being crafted. So I see a lot of companies falling in the trap of providing the same boring email confirmation after the first purchase, same thing to everyone, all these freaking templates, and they don't understand the power of touch points. They don't understand that they could be different, not only by sending gifts to their best customers, but being different, having a voice, and making sure that you, as you've said, hygiene first, cosmetics afterwards. So be sure that you provide the value and measure that. But also I want to have your opinion towards, do you think customer experience is going to become something that is being taken care of, or this is going to be only for the few chosen ones which are smart enough to see that customer experience makes or breaks the future of a retailer?
I do think that's it can have an enormous impact. Again, it really depends on the business that you are and your competitors, but that can be an enormous differentiator for you versus your competition. And again, I've worked with a lot of companies where, again, those people understand, this is not the ideal situation that we just blast this email out to everyone. But I'm the only CRM marketeer here, and we have thousands of customers. I just don't have the time. I'm already happy that the emails are getting sent out. I don't have the time to personalize those or to create 10 different versions of those. I do think that there are systems and models out there that can help you do this in a very well, in a much easier way than just only having manual work that can instead of creating 20 different versions of your email every month that allow you to automate this partially and do that based on models that you guys, for example, work with. If I have 16 buckets of types of clients, I know what they are susceptible to. I know what works for them. You guys give that feedback to me, and then I can use that again in my email marketing to target those users. I think that will already be a great first step beyond just sending one email out to everyone, right? And again, Coolblue, a great example from the Netherlands. They focus so hard on servers. I don't actually think they send newsletters, but their transactional emails, they are so good. They're so conversational. It feels personal if they do send me something, and when I go to their website. So that makes all the difference. And that's, like I said, they're not the cheapest one. Not even by. So, for example, in March, they were the first company site-wide to and they announced it to increase prices. They already saw the shortages coming up from China and the supply chain, so they were one of the first to boost prices. And I think that for them, sort of, they said publicly, it was basically to protect their inventories, to make sure they were not running out. And I think it worked out well for them.
Yeah, smart move. Guido, what's let's say, which are the things that are frustrating you the most at the current landscape of in e-commerce?
So
I know that you're a psychologist, and I know that you cope with your emotions quite well. But what?
You don't see this, but I have 5 bottles of whiskey in my side, so that's my coping mechanism. So I can mention a lot of things, but in general, I think what frustrates me, and I also I'm not as big of an online shopper as my girlfriend is, but I see her shopping a lot, and the frustrations that she gets and that I get when I shop online, there are a lot of there's still a lot of low-hanging fruit that you definitely would have encountered if you would have done user research, if you would have done so not necessarily quantitative. It's hard to find some things in Google Analytics. Google Analytics is great at showing you where something is going wrong, but doesn't necessarily show what is going wrong. So please combine that with doing some qualitative research. Just invite a couple of people, like every month, every 6 weeks. Invite a handful of people to your office or another location. Give them cases, let them buy stuff, or let them subscribe. So let them react. And there are a lot of. Every time I do that, I write down 3, 4, 5 papers of information, information with notes, with all the things that are broken or that are confusing people, and that just don't seem to work. And when I do the shopping, what I see at customers, almost no one does. That could be a great way to set you apart. Almost no one is doing user research. It's mind-blowing for me. And it's not because I'm trained doing this, but it's relatively simple. It's very relatively cheap to do, and it gives you tons of insights from the sales channel itself. So you can get responses on what's going on in AdWords or your affiliate channels or your website itself. You get feedback on the product itself, maybe if they have experience with that, or you can give them the product itself. You already know their expectations. Oh, this is this kind of website. Oh, this kind of product. Oh no, that sucks because XYZ. You get to know all their preconception on. You already know that they're not a blank slate when they enter your website. People already have a lot of ideas, or and they might be wrong, but that's why you need to address those things. You need to know about those things. What are the things people think about me when they come to my website? A big example there when I worked for Euroflorist, the flower company, and they have shops in all of Europe, but they're a Swedish company. They're very well known in Sweden. In the Netherlands, we are very well known for our flowers. And Euroflorist, the brand name isn't well known in the Netherlands. We have other Dutch brands that are way more famous than they are. So even if it's the same website with the same products, people in Sweden had a completely different view of the company and what they could do on the website than people from the Netherlands. In Sweden, you go to the website and you start ordering flowers. In the Netherlands, I don't know who you are. So who are you? You don't start shopping for the flowers. Who are you? When do you deliver? Where do the flowers come from? Can I even trust you? Are you actually Fleurop, which is the main brand everyone thinks about? Can I trust you? That's a whole different story that you need to tell. And if you just assume everyone's the same, and everyone will just give you a chance. I don't know you, but I'll give you a chance. I'll read everything on your website to inform me about you. That's not what happens.
Yeah.
So when you do that, that's a big frustration of me, that people, a lot of companies somehow don't invest time and money. And again, it's not that time intensive and not that expensive. They don't spend that time to get to know their customers.
Yeah, to invalidate their assumptions and to challenge their own assumptions.
Yeah.
That's the key, I think. I think the ability to self-critic yourself as a company, it's a great ability.
The frustration there is it's on one hand it's so informative, and on the other hand it's so cheap to do. It's so easy to do. So why why are you not doing this?
Yeah. Guido, regarding you've had a lot of years in the CRO business.
Yes, that's why I need a whiskey.
Yeah.
Sorry.
As you know, we are strong believers in focusing or shifting the focus from conversion rate optimization towards customer value optimization. What's your take on CLV? Do you think the market do you think it's going to be a market of professionals and agencies that will help retailers improve their customer lifetime value, or do you think the CRO is just going to stay at the level of the website optimization?
God, I hope it's going to be a quick shift to customer lifetime value. When I started the podcast, there was a big thing, of course. So should I name it CRO Cafe? What should be the name? I mean, already back then and already for the past, I don't know, at least 5 years, there are big discussions in the CRO industry that we don't have a great name. We haven't branded ourselves in the best way possible. CRO itself, well, at best, it's indeed like you said. At best, people see this as something to optimize the website. In worst case scenarios, it's only about conversion rate. But it's much broader than that. Of course, it should be all about customer lifetime value. Granted, it's more difficult. Of course, it's easier to measure or to improve the things that you can directly measure and change right now. If I can make a change right now on the website, it might have an impact on a conversion rate or average order value, and it takes some time before I know what the impact is on customer lifetime value. So it's harder to do, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't be you shouldn't be doing it. It's way more important. I hope it's going to be a shift. That's something I'm rooting for, and that's also what I'm basically trying to do with the CRO Cafe podcast, to focus on that culture of experimentation. And it's not only about the website; it's about the whole channel that you do. It's the whole mindset that you have, you need to adopt from. I actually don't know. I don't know what's going to work, but let's try to find out. Let's do research, and let's validate all those things that come from that research. Or, if you don't want to do research, you might have all these ideas. ideas aren't a great starting point, but hey, ideas, we can still validate those. Let's put them online and validate if they work or not, and try to learn from it that way. And hopefully, then after a time, you figure out, oh, all our ideas are crap. Let's let's do some user research. But that's I definitely hope that that's something. And not only it's not necessarily a hope, but I do think that because more and more companies are doing this, it's there's less of a big step to make when you try to optimize there. So you need to go to the next level to differentiate yourself from your clients, right? At some point, a lot of people will have those decent online experiences, decent websites, but then what's the next step? You need to provide them, focus on that retention. That's where the successful companies are at. They are focusing on lifetime value. Booking.com, of course, also a famous example in the CRO industry, Dutch company. They definitely focus their changes and validate those. Okay, what's the impact of this change? Not necessarily on what you do today, but does it cause issues, or does it cause an uplift in booking something in 2-3 months? Does it cause you to return to our website? Of course, I can imagine that past half year has also been quite different for booking, but in general, that's a way better way, of course, to approach these things. And we get more and more tools to do this. Like with OmniConvert, more and more companies are trying to build the stuff that people need and provide us with the tools, so we can actually do this in an easier way. That makes it more manageable, instead of taking months and months to program something yourself, or need to build it in-house or something. You can your tools already provide this insight. Okay, what is my customer lifetime value? So hopefully that provides the shift, or provides the tools that enable this shift.
Guido, our last question is regarding what's your favorite growth hack to become a happier person?
Turn off your computer sometimes.
I love that.
Learn a new skill. Like I said, I'm learning this, and it's very fun to do. Learn a new skill. Set time aside. Learn a new skill. And do it in whatever way you find fun yourself. It can be a physical thing. It can be doing an online course. If you want to learn JavaScript, or if you want to learn how to do a Rubik's Cube, or want to juggle or something. I don't know. Learn a new skill.
Excellent. So 5 bottles of whiskey and a Rubik's Cube. That's the recipe from.
That's how I invest in myself. Yes.
Excellent. Guido, thanks a lot for being with us today. Tell us where can people can reach you if they want to.
Yeah, if you have any questions regarding this, comments, or want to call me out on some stupid stuff I said, I'm available on Twitter, just my first name, at gui.do. My website is also gui.do. The Twitter handle is without the dot, by the way. I'm available there. Look for me on LinkedIn, or again on the podcast, of course, CRO.cafe.
Excellent. So Guido, thanks a lot for being with us today, and thanks a lot for watching us today, and we'll see each other next Thursday at 3 p.m. UK time. All the best from Bucharest. Bye, Guido.
Bye-bye.